He pushed open the cafe door slowly, not knowing that this evening would change his life forever. The warm smell of coffee touched his nose, but something else caught his attention even before he took another step. Something felt wrong. Something he could not explain. He looked around. The cafe was half full, couples laughing, students studying, a few people sitting alone. Everything looked normal. Yet he felt a strange pull toward one corner table. It was as if his eyes were forced to look there. A woman sat at that table, her body stiff like she was ready to run. Her fingers moved again and again on the edge of her cup. She kept looking toward the door every few seconds, as if she expected someone dangerous to walk in any moment. Beside her sat a little boy, maybe 6, maybe 7 years old. He sat completely quiet, too quiet for a child. His small hands were on the table, and in front of him was an empty plate. Not empty because he finished his food, empty because there was never any food on it. The woman looked tired. But more than that, she looked scared. He checked his phone again. His blind date was supposed to meet him here. They had never met before. Her name was Sarah. She said she would sit near the window. The woman in the corner was near the window. But she had a child. So it could not be her, right? Still, he felt something pulling him closer. The woman looked at him for 1 second, then quickly lowered her eyes. Her hand moved to the child's arm like she wanted to protect him. The boy's stomach made a soft growl. Not loud, but loud enough for him to hear. The boy looked embarrassed. He looked away and pressed his hands on his stomach. The woman whispered to him, "It's okay. Just wait a little." But her voice cracked. It did not sound okay at all. He looked at the entrance again. No sign of his blind date. No message. No call. Only silence. He was about to sit at another table when something strange happened. His phone buzzed in his hand. A new message. Unknown number. Don't leave. She needs help. He froze. He read it again. Don't leave. He looked around the cafe. Nobody seemed to notice him. Nobody looked suspicious. But the message felt too real. Too direct with someone watching him. He looked again at the woman. Her eyes kept moving around the cafe, checking every face, every movement. She took a napkin and pretended to wipe the boy's face, but her hand was shaking. He walked a little closer. Not too close. Just enough to hear. The waitress passed by their table, and the woman quickly pulled the empty plate away, trying to hide it. She forced a smile, as if saying, "Everything is fine." But the smile was weak. It fell apart in seconds. The boy kept staring at other people's food. His eyes followed every plate that went by, every sandwich, every cup of hot chocolate, but he never asked for anything. He was too scared to ask. The man felt his heart tighten. There was a story here, a deep, painful story hidden behind an empty plate. Maybe the blind date was not coming. Maybe he was meant to be here for something else. Maybe for someone else. He checked his phone one more time. No message from Sarah. Only that strange warning. He felt a strange thought enter his mind. What if she is my blind date? But why would she bring a child to a blind date? Why would she hide the empty plate? Why would she look like she wanted to run away? And who sent that message? He took a step closer. The woman noticed him and quickly looked away. But the boy. The boy lifted his head and looked straight at him. His eyes were sad and full of silent hunger. That was the moment he understood. This was no normal blind date. This was the beginning of a story he'd never expected to walk into. He stood still for a moment, thinking. He did not want to scare the woman or make her more nervous, but he also could not ignore the strange message on his phone or the empty plate in front of the child. Something inside him told him to walk toward them, slow and calm, the way someone approaches a frightened bird. When he reached their table, the woman looked up with a quick, sharp movement. Her eyes widened for a second. She looked like someone who had been caught doing something wrong, even though she wasn't doing anything at all. "Hi," he said softly, trying not to sound alarming. Are you Sarah?" Her fingers froze around her cup. Her lips pressed tightly together before she shook her head. "No," she said, forcing a small smile. "I'm not her." Her voice was shaky, but she tried very hard to hide it. The boy looked at him with curious eyes, maybe hoping he would bring food, but the woman gently placed her hand on the boy's shoulder as if telling him not to say a word. "Oh," he replied, pretending he believed it right away, even though he wasn't sure. "I'm sorry. My mistake." Was about to walk away when the child whispered something. It was soft, but he heard it clearly. "Mom." "Is he the man?" The woman's whole body tensed. She quickly covered the boy's mouth, almost too fast. She whispered urgently, "Don't talk like that." Step back slightly. The last thing he wanted was to make them feel trapped or scared. "I'm sorry," he said again. "I didn't mean to bother you." "I'll go sit now," the woman interrupted suddenly. Her voice surprised even herself. "Wait, please." He paused. She looked embarrassed, then pointed to the chair across from her. "You can sit if you want." He nodded and sat down slowly. The boy watched him carefully, as if trying to decide if he was a good person or not. The woman tried to act normal. She took a sip of her cold coffee and placed the cup down with shaking hands. "You're here for a blind date?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Yes," he said. "She was supposed to meet me here, but she didn't show up." "I'm sorry," the woman said quietly. She looked at the empty plate and quickly pushed it to the side, hoping he didn't notice. But he already had. The boy saw a waiter passing by, carrying a plate of fries. His eyes followed it until it disappeared behind another table. He swallowed, then looked down again. "You can order something," he said kindly. "Anything you want?" The woman shook her head quickly. No, we're fine." He looked at her gently. "You sure?" "Yes," she answered, but the word sounded like a lie. She kept glancing around the cafe, her breath uneven. She was scared of something. Or someone. He decided not to push too hard. "All right," he said softly. "But if you change your mind, tell me." The boy stared at him for a long moment. There was something in the child's eyes, trust, hope, fear, everything mixed. The woman tried to change the subject. "I'm Anna," she said suddenly. "And this is my son, Liam." "To meet you both," he replied, offering a warm smile. But the smile did not seem to calm Anna. She was still tense, watching the entrance like she expected a storm to walk through the door. "So," he asked gently, "are you waiting for someone?" She froze again. Her fingers tightened on her cup. "No," she whispered. "I'm just trying to leave soon. Is someone bothering you?" He asked carefully. She didn't answer. Instead, her eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink away. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered, "but I had no other choice." Before he could ask what she meant, the door opened. A tall man walked in. Anna stiffened instantly. Her breath caught. She grabbed her son's hand under the table. "Please," she whispered to him, voice trembling, "don't look at him." The tall man at the door scanned the cafe like he was searching for someone. His eyes were sharp, dark, and cold, as that remembered people, eyes that judged. The moment Anna saw him, her entire body turned still, like a deer that hears a hunter's footsteps. He noticed the change in her immediately. Her breathing quickened. Her shoulders stiffened. Her fingers squeezed Liam's hand under the table. The little boy didn't even look up. He already knew what his mother's tight grip meant. Danger. The man slowly walked deeper into the cafe. His heavy boots hit the floor with slow, powerful thuds. He wasn't hurrying, but he wasn't relaxed either. He walked with the confidence of someone who expected the world to move aside for him. Anna lowered her face, letting her hair fall forward like a curtain. "Don't look at him," she whispered again to Liam. "Just keep your eyes down." He watched Anna closely. Fear had taken over her entire body. It wasn't normal nervousness. It was fear that came from something dark. "Something old, Anna," he whispered softly, leaning forward. "Do you know him?" She didn't answer. Instead, she tried to force a small smile. "No, I don't know any of these people." But her voice cracked in the middle of the sentence. The lie was too thin to hide anything. He glanced at the man. The man wasn't looking at their table yet. He was scanning the other side of the cafe. But he looked like someone who wouldn't stop searching until he found what he wanted. A waiter walked by and accidentally bumped the table. It wasn't a big bump, but it was enough to make Anna jump like she had been slapped. Her cup rattled. Liam gasped softly. The waiter apologized quickly and moved on, but she remained frozen long after he left. He leaned closer. Anna, what's going on? Are you in some kind of trouble? She shook her head, but said nothing. Her hand reached for her bag, then pulled back, then reached again as if she couldn't decide whether to stay or escape. The man at the door began slowly walking toward their side of the cafe. Anna pulled her chair closer to the wall, trying to hide Liam behind her. The boy whispered, Mom, is he here for us? Anna closed her eyes tightly. A small tear fell down her cheek. Don't talk, she whispered. Just stay quiet, please. The man watched them silently. He was sure now, however, that man was. Anna feared him deeply, the kind of fear that can only come from history. He lowered his voice. Anna, if you're scared of him, you should tell me. I won't let anything happen to you or your son. Her lips trembled. For a second, it looked like she wanted to tell him everything. But then she shook her head again, too fast, like a frightened animal refusing to trust anyone. I don't want trouble, she whispered. Please, don't get involved. Just leave. You don't know who he is. But I know you're terrified, he answered quietly. And I know your son is hungry. At that, Anna clutched Liam tighter. She swallowed hard, holding back another tear. We're fine. She lied again, but her voice was smaller this time, weaker, breaking. The man in boots stopped only a few tables away now. He turned slowly, looking around, studying faces. His gaze was hunting. Anna looked down, pretending to check her phone. Her hands were shaking so hard the phone almost slipped. Suddenly, the man took out his own phone and made a call. His voice was deep and angry. She's not here, he growled into the phone. But she was. I know she was. Someone saw her. Anna's breath caught. Her eyes filled with panic. He knows, she whispered. He knows I was here. He leaned forward. Anna, tell me the truth. Who is he? She looked up at him with terrified eyes. He's my husband's friend, she whispered shakily. And if he finds me, he will take Liam back to my husband. And your husband? He asked softly. Her face broke. My husband is the man we're running from. Before he could say anything else, the man with the phone turned directly toward their table. Anna froze. Liam stopped breathing, and the cafe suddenly felt too small for all the secrets left unsaid. The tall man's eyes locked onto their table, and Anna felt the air vanish from her lungs. She squeezed Liam's hand so tightly that the child winced, but he didn't say anything. He knew silence meant safety. The man watched them for a long second, his stare sharp and judging. Then, very slowly, he started walking toward them each step, loud, heavy, and full of purpose. Anna whispered, her voice cracking, Please, don't look up. Don't move. Liam pressed his face into her arm. The man sitting with them felt his own heart pounding. He didn't know Anna well only a few minutes, but something deep inside him refused to let her face this danger alone. The tall man stopped near their table. Too near, he looked directly at Anna. You look familiar, he said, his voice hard. Anna didn't look up. I think you're mistaken. The man leaned forward, trying to see her face. He was only inches away. You're Anna Collins, he said. Aren't you? Her breath shook. No, she whispered. I'm not. He grabbed the back of the empty chair next to her and pulled it out. You think I'm stupid? I know who you are. Your husband is looking for you. Liam trembled. Anna pulled him close, her eyes filling with helpless fear. He finally spoke, calm, controlled, firm. Is there a problem? The tall man turned, surprised to see another man sitting with them. He squinted. Who are you? Her friend, he replied without hesitation. And you're making her uncomfortable. The tall man laughed, but there was no humor in it. Friend? She can't have friends. Her husband made that clear. Anna's eyes filled with fresh fear. She whispered, Please. Please don't do this. The tall man pointed at her bag. Her husband wants his son back. Now, stepped closer. The man sitting with them also stood up, positioning himself between Anna and the stranger. You're frightening her. Back off. The tall man's smile vanished. You don't want to involve yourself in this. Trust me. I already did, he answered calmly. For a few seconds, the air felt thick, like the cafe walls were closing around them. The tall man looked at him from head to toe, trying to judge if he could fight him, hurt him, or scare him away. Finally, the tall man leaned forward and whispered, You have no idea who her husband is. She's running from money, from power, from someone who always gets what he wants. Then he straightened and walked toward the exit, speaking loudly into his phone. She's here. I saw her. Tell him I found the boy too, Mana gasped. Tears burst from her eyes. Liam hugged her waist. Scared and confused, the tall man pushed open the cafe door and stood outside, waiting, watching. She broke. Her hands covered her face, her voice shaking uncontrollably. He saw me. He saw Liam. My husband will come. He'll take my son. He'll hurt me again. I shouldn't have come here. I'm so stupid. He sat next to her. Anna, stop. You're not stupid. You're scared, and you should be. But you're not alone. She tried to talk, but her voice collapsed. You don't understand. My husband. He's cruel. He controls everything. My phone, my money, my life. He never let me leave the house. If I made one mistake, She stopped, unable to finish. Liam buried his face into her chest. Mom, don't cry. She held him tightly. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. He gently placed a hand over hers. Anna, look at me. She eyes red, broken, exhausted. You can tell me the truth, he said softly, and finally. She did. She told him about the nights she hid bruises under makeup. The times she and Liam went to bed hungry because her husband locked the kitchen. How she escaped when he passed out drunk, grabbing only her bag and Liam's small backpack. How she slept in shelters, hotels, sometimes bus stations. How her husband's friend, the man outside, had been searching for her every single day. She cried while speaking, but she didn't stop. When she finished, he squeezed her hand. I won't let him take you or Liam. She looked into his eyes, fragile but hopeful. Why? Why would you help a stranger? He smiled gently. Because no one deserves to live in fear. Outside, the tall man lit a cigarette and waited patient like a hunter. Inside, the battle for Anna's safety had just begun. Anna wiped her tears, but they kept falling. Her hands shook so badly that even holding the cup felt impossible. Liam pressed himself closer to her, trying to hide, trying to disappear. The man sitting with them looked toward the door. The tall man was still outside, pretending to smoke but clearly watching every movement inside the cafe. Anna whispered, He won't leave. He'll wait until my husband arrives. Then they'll take Liam. I can't let that happen. I would rather die than go back. Her voice broke on the last word. He felt something shift inside him, a kind of silent anger mixed with protectiveness. He hadn't known Anna long. Watching her tremble like this made something inside him refuse to step back. You won't go back, he said firmly. Not today. Not ever. She shook her head. You don't understand. My husband has money. He can find me anywhere. People listen to him. Even the police, then. I won't let him come near you, he said. Anna looked at him, confused and afraid. You can't fight him. Maybe not, he replied calmly. But I can confuse him. Before she could ask anything, he stood up. Anna grabbed his sleeve in panic. No, please. Don't go near him. He's dangerous. Put a hand over hers, gentle but steady. Anna, trust me. Just this once. She froze. She didn't know why, but something in his voice made her believe maybe, because no one had stood for her before. Not even once. He walked toward the entrance slowly, each step measured. Anna watched with wide, terrified eyes. Liam hugged her even tighter. Outside, the tall man flicked ash from his cigarette and looked up as he approached. "What do you want?" he snapped. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't show fear. "I want you to stop scaring that woman," the tall man smirked. "That woman is my friend's wife. She ran away with his son. We're just taking back what belongs to him." "She doesn't belong to him," he answered sharply. "And neither does the boy." The tall man laughed like he had heard a joke. "Ah, I get it now. You're her new guy. Her little boyfriend." He took a step closer. "Let me tell you something. She's lying to you. She lies to everyone." He didn't move. "She doesn't have to lie to me." The tall man recognized confidence in his eyes, something he wasn't expecting. He narrowed his gaze. "Move aside. Unless you want trouble." "I'm her husband," he said loudly enough for people inside the cafe to hear. The tall man blinked. "What? You heard me?" he repeated boldly. "Anna is my wife. Liam is my son. We came here together." "You're following the wrong family." Several customers inside turned their heads toward them. The tall man grew tense, not wanting attention. "Don't play games with me," he growled. "It's not a game," he said calmly. "If you think she's the woman you're searching for, go inside and ask her yourself. But she'll tell everyone here that she came with me." The tall man hesitated. His certainty cracked for the first time. "She cut her hair," he added casually. "She lost weight. Her face changed. You'd think you'd recognize her so icily after months. People change." Doubt slipped into the tall man's expression. He stepped even closer and whispered, "Leave them alone. Or I'll make sure every person here knows you're harassing families." The tall man clenched his jaw. He looked inside the cafe again, had her back turned, hiding her face. The boy's head was pressed into her shirt. From this angle, she didn't look exactly like the woman he remembered. "Fine," the tall man finally muttered. "Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's not the one." He threw the cigarette on the ground and walked toward his car. But before leaving, he pointed at him. "This isn't over." The car engine roared, and the tall man drove away. He exhaled heavily, feeling the tension lift from his shoulders. Inside, Anna watched him return. Her eyes were wide with shock. "What? What did you do?" she whispered. "I protected you," he said simply. She stared at him like she was seeing a miracle. "No one has ever done that for me." Liam looked up for the first time, hope flickering in his small eyes. "Are we safe now?" He knelt beside him. "For now? Yes, but inside his heart. He knew this was only the beginning. There was still a husband coming, and he had just declared himself part of Anna's fight. Anna held Liam close to her chest, long after the tall man's car disappeared. Her hands still trembled, her breathing still shaky. The cafe noise returned, slowly chatter, cups clicking, soft music, but nothing felt normal anymore. Not after what almost happened. He sat down across from her, his heart still beating fast from the confrontation outside. Anna looked at him with a mixture of fear, disbelief, and something new, trust. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. "But I did," he replied simply. Liam peeked from behind his mother's arm. For the first time, he wasn't hiding. His eyes were still scared, but there was a spark of safety, something he hadn't felt in a long time. "Thank you," the little boy said in a tiny voice. That single thank you broke something inside Anna. Tears silently fell again. But these tears were different, softer, lighter, almost relieved. He tried to smile. "We can't stay here. He might come back with her husband," Anna nodded slowly. "I know, but where can we go? I have no place, no money, nothing." "You'll have me," he said without thinking. She froze, surprised by the words. He surprised himself too. They barely knew each other, yet every part of him felt sure of what he was saying. Anna shook her head. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," he answered. "I know you're brave. You left a man who hurt you. You protected your son. You're stronger than you think." Her eyes softened, but fear still lived behind them. "My husband won't stop. He has people everywhere." "Then we won't stay in the open," he said. "I know a safe shelter. They help families like you. They can give you a place to stay, food, protection. No one can just walk in. Anna looked at him, hope flickering across her tired face. A shelter. Is it safe? Very safe, he said. I'll take you there myself. She nodded slowly. Okay. He stood and held out his hand. She hesitated, then placed her shaking fingers in his. He helped her up gently, like she was fragile, but also someone worth fighting for. They walked out of the cafe together, Liam holding both their hands. The evening air was cold, but for the first time in months, Anna didn't shiver from fear, only from the wind. He opened the car door for them, and Anna sat beside Liam, holding him close. The boy leaned his head on her shoulder, tired but safe. As he drove, he checked the mirrors. No cars following. No shadows lurking. Just empty streets lit by streetlights. Halfway through the drive, Anna spoke softly. You really confused him, she said. You protected us. He glanced at her. I didn't confuse him. I told him the truth. She frowned. The truth? Yes, he said, keeping his eyes on the road. I'll protect you. For as long as you let me. Her breath caught. No one had ever said anything like that to her. They reached the shelter, a tall, warm-looking building with bright lights and a security guard at the door. It didn't look fancy, but it looked safe. More safe than any place she had seen in months. The guard welcomed them and spoke gently to Anna. You and your son can stay here. We'll take care of you. Anna turned to him. Are you leaving now? He shook his head. Not until I know you're settled. Inside, they gave her a clean room with 2 beds and warm blankets. Liam sat on the bed with a small smile, his first real smile of the day. Anna looked around the room, and then looked at him with tears shining in her eyes. I don't know how to thank you. She whispered. You don't need to, he replied. Just rest. Tomorrow will be better. She stepped closer, speaking softly. You saved us, he smiled. Maybe it wasn't a blind date after all. Maybe it was fate. Anna held Liam's hand and looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and something deeper, something new, a beginning. He turned to leave, but Liam called out, Will you come back tomorrow? He looked at Anna. She didn't speak, but her eyes pleaded with hope. Yes, he said warmly. I'll be here. And as he walked out of the shelter, he realized something. He had come for a blind date, but he had found a purpose, and maybe a future.